Welcome to the DYSON'S Effect,
a show about everyday situations, issues, and topics we talk about and give our opinions.
We may even listen to yours.
We are your hosts, Johnny
and Theresa,
also known as Mr. and Mrs. Dyson. Hey everybody, this is Johnny.
And this is Theresa.
And this is another episode of the
DYSON'S Effect.
So, we have had a rough, different, tumultuous, interesting week thus far. Maybe want to jump right into it. Some things we've been going through back and forth. Some things we've been battling with. How did everything start? So we go right ahead.
No, go.
Well, recently you've been in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a traumatic experience, from your opinion, because it was you.
Yes.
So she's been in the hospital for 7 days, but 7 whole nights. 6. Okay.
So like 30.
So before that, how did it all start?
Well, it was the reason for me, I guess, going to the ER was because of extremely heavy bleeding and extremely large blood clots every time I used the bathroom. Probably soaking through a pad, like the thickest pad. I don't even wear those, but I had to get them. Soaking through those probably in 30 minutes. But for me, so it started March 27th, bleeding, which was the second menstrual for me in March. But I didn't think nothing about it because if I have hormone issues, so if my hormone levels is off, it'll do that. So,
well, not just to jump over that. The hormone issues is from your thyroid issues.
I had thyroid cancer. I had my thyroid removed.
She had her thyroid removed, and the thyroid she had removed is right here in the front of your throat, and it's like a butterfly, right? Mm-hmm. It's like a butterfly. Yeah, and it goes like over your esophagus right here, and she had it removed.
Yes. So, okay. So then,
you had you thought it was a hormones issue.
Yeah, so I didn't think nothing of the second menstrual. I only got worried when the menstrual was extremely heavy. I was going through a bag of pads in one day, which is definitely not how I roll. So it happened that Thursday.
It ain't how I roll.
And I was like, okay, I'll give it to Friday. Maybe I'm just going to have one day of heavy bleeding. Friday comes, nothing slows down, it continues. So we originally had plans to go to Florida. Thank God we kind of didn't. I guess things happen the way they're supposed to happen.
Things happen the way they supposed
because
to happen.
Because we were supposed to go to Florida that weekend for spring break. I'd have been in the hospital in Florida because I don't know if I would have made it back.
We'd have to get back home. I dropped you off.
And so I definitely wouldn't have been able to come back the way I was bleeding. Anyways. So Friday comes, but we ended up just staying here because we didn't feel like going. Jiraiya didn't want to go. So I was like, well, maybe we'll try to go in July. So I was like, well, let's just get a room in Atlanta somewhere and just let her swim, go to this new arcade. They just opened up. And through all this, I don't think nobody really knew how much I was, bleeding until I said it. I kind of just pushed through the weekend.
Was you cranky?
Yeah, I was irritated because it was like every time I moved, not to be so graphic, but blood was gushing out along with the blood clot. So I was constantly running to the bathroom. But, I still tried to make the best of it. And for her anyways, I guess I I should have went to the emergency room that Friday. I shouldn't have waited. But
So this is Saturday now, right?
no, this is still Friday.
Okay.
Come Saturday, I'm thinking it's going to once again slow down. Did not slow down, and then Saturday that's when I started feeling weaker, very tired. And I'm like, okay, we just got one more day. Like in the morning I can get up and just go to the hospital. So Saturday night, it was probably 1 or 2 in the morning. I went to the bathroom and literally a blood clot, probably the size of an orange, came out. And I was like, I started to wake him up and be like, I need to go now, but I just laid there. Yeah. I just laid there, and because we had Kaden, we had Jiraiya, I was just like, okay, it's just a couple more hours. So we get up that morning, shower, and we drive back to where we stay. And I got dropped off at the emergency room. By the end, I was really weak and shaking because I'm losing so much blood. So I get to the emergency room and tell them what was going on. I felt like they moved fast. They got me in the back. They did. They put a heart thing on me because my heart had been racing. And they took some blood and whatever. Then I came back out. They put IV in my arm. I guess that's the new thing now. Put the IV thing in it just in case they need to do anything. I came back out. Then the girl came and got me, and they was like, well, we're going to do an x-ray of your chest. I guess they thought because my heart was racing, I was having a heart attack or something. So they did that. And then I came back, and before I could even sit down, they called me to the back and put me in a room. And so I was in this room for hours. They came in and they did a pelvic x-ray, ultrasound.
Yeah.
And they did a vagina ultrasound. Then they did like a doctor came in and did like a pap smear. And they were just really trying to figure out why am I bleeding? So they was just asking all these questions. I'm like, I don't know. No, this has never happened. I don't know. So then, after going through all that, I kept bleeding out. After hours of being there, I think I went at like 9:30. They probably didn't tell me they were admitting me to probably 2. And they were like, well, we're not admitting you because of the bleeding. I'm like, obviously you are. That's the reason why I'm here. And he was like, no, your kidney is not doing too good.
And then there's that.
Yeah. If we send you home in the state that you're in, you're going to go into renal failure, so we can't send you home. So you'll be admitted. So I'm like, okay. So he's like...
So how you was feeling after you heard that?
Well, I kind of knew as long as I was there, because usually in the emergency room, well, no, I'm lying. They will have you there all day and not keep you. But I just knew it because I was just losing too much blood. It's not normal. Even if the kidney is the reason they wanted to say, they would have had to stop the bleeding. They couldn't have sent me home like that. And so, especially with my levels, I think my levels was probably 5. My hemoglobin level that day, which is really low, which is blood transfusion. So when they said, well, we're going to admit you, I knew, but like any other time I'm admitted, I don't like it. I hate hospitals. I think that's why I wait so long to go in hopes things get better, because
going to the hospital is the last thing you want to do.
Yeah, and I'm always kept like 5 days. I can't never just go one day and go home the next. No, my ass always got to be there 5 days.
It's a little sickly.
So, okay, fine. What can I do? Can we have visitors? No, the floor you're going to, they are not allowing visitors because of COVID. So he couldn't even come up there. They don't
I kind of knew that.
Let nobody come in the emergency room. If you come with somebody in the emergency room, they're telling that person to wait in the car for you.
Yeah, I kind of knew that. With the
so that was really double depressing, because it's like, I don't know what's going on.
you up there by yourself.
And then you can't have anybody up there.
So first, hold on. So to maybe break it down to paint the visual, we wanted to do something for Jariah to get Jariah out of the house because she do
home virtual
schooling. So we went to go get a room just so she can go to the swim in the pool because there is no pools open and like that. And the area we live in, it was 45 minutes away out in Kennesaw. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to drive. We drove out in Kennesaw. It's not really that far, but so that's why when we was already out there, because for the people that know the area a little bit, Kennesaw's Cobb County. We used to live in Marietta's Cobb County, so we kind of know that area a lot anyway. Plus, we used to shop over there. So we was like, we not really far. We're in a familiar area. So why don't we just, you was like, why don't I just tough it out, see how long it go? And I guess in this process, that's when all this stuff was happening. So then when you in the hospital, that's why you like, so I'll say this then. What started, this might be easy to answer for you. What started you hating the hospital because you always had to be like, do you remember what started that?
I mean, past health issues. First, it was the lump that had to be surgically removed, but that was outpatient. So, but it was a lot of visits and biopsies and things like that. And then, no, I'm going to probably say no, because I think that the lumps under my arms where they had to like cut it open and get them out.
Explain that people don't understand.
I think that was after the lump in my
So you had polyps in your armpits, and they had to
they would have to dig them out. So it would be like little holes in my armpit.
Yeah, like pus. It was like
while
pus.
I'm woke. Yeah,
it was like pus leaking. So they had to cut open the armpits and scrape them out, basically, and then sew them back up. And it wasn't one side; it was both sides.
Mm-hmm. And I would have to stay in the hospital a couple days for that. That was very, 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 very painful. After that
meat tender up under that shot.
So first it was the lump that just appeared in my chest wall, probably in 2012
or something.
Yeah, like
was that before Jariah was born?
Yeah, it was before Jariah was born.
Okay.
So it was like one night
she was in 10 then, wasn't she?
She was born in 2010. So yeah, this
like
happened in 2008 because. Yeah, this happened in 2008 because I was in school for medical billing. And so one night I was about to cook dinner and I rubbed my hand across my chest and I was like, I had a lump.
That wasn't it.
We was in the kitchen sharing with Boulevard. And you was like, go to the emergency room.
I thought we was doing that P90X and you felt it. It was
And I went to the emergency room. They didn't do anything. But thank God I had an appointment with my PCP the next day. And when I got there, she was pissed because the emergency room didn't do x-rays, ultrasound. They didn't do anything. They just sent me home. And she immediately sent me to an oncologist. And from then, that's when everything took off. Like with the biopsy, them telling me they had to remove it.
Right.
So once that was removed, and we got the biopsy report back, which is a pathologist report, it showed that it was a Castleman's disease. A Castleman's disease is a precursor to lymphoma cancer. So what made it not cancerous, I guess, is because I didn't have any lumps anywhere else. So basically they was like, we removed it and that was it. But from what my understanding was, I guess when they did remove it, the doctor told them I had cancer, right? Yeah, and that was life-changing. I was going to have to start chemo immediately and this and that. But thank God they waited on, I guess, the pathologist report, which they send it off and they dig a little further to see, what it is exactly is. And I'm glad they didn't just start me off with chemo.
You did do chemo, though. Remember?
I did like a radiation.
A radiation.
Yeah, so it was like a
peel. A radiation peel.
Yeah. So that was with that. I've never heard of Castleman's disease until that happened. Go figure. So then the lumps started coming under my arms. So that's when they thought it was cancer, because they said if any lumps came back anywhere on my body, that it definitely would be lymphoma cancer. But it just ended up being benign lumps that happened. Then
this sound like a lot of fun.
and this was all before I was even 30.
Yeah.
And then thyroid started acting up. My neck was like
swole.
Like you could see how swollen my neck was from it. So
let me get off the topic a little bit. You know, they've been posting a lot. Being that you're talking about your throat is swole, you know, they've been talking a lot about how girls like being choked. So I wonder, when your throat was swole, when you walking around, people are like, she must like being choked and all that stuff. You know, that's a thing though. I'm being serious. That's a thing. Women like being choked. Okay. So
all right. So anyway, and we were still in Columbus when all of these first ones. So they got OSU,
Columbus,
which is
Ohio,
their
yes.
Biggest hospital. People travel there from all over the world for, to see the specialist. So I was in good hands. I did have good oncologist doctors there, which is blood doctor, cancer doctor, which however you want to equate it. So I did have good doctors there. So when the thyroid started acting up, at first they was like, oh, we're just going to biopsy it and watch it, and we don't want to take it out if it's it's not showing any cancers, what. But it was so big, they had to take it out. So when they took it out back then, I don't know which iPhone I had, but it was the size of that iPhone. So I had a cut from here to here. I had 2 drains hanging. That was very, very painful. Obviously, It's your throat. You can't swallow. I'm in pain. She bringing me pain pills. And at that time, my cousin came. She's a nurse. And my auntie and all them came from Cleveland. And my cousin was like, why are you giving her pills? Like, you can't swallow them. She needs something through her IV. Telling the other nurse this. But if she wasn't there, it's just like, you bringing me these big old pain pills. As you see, I have a slit throat. I think Jiraiya was probably 1 or 2, because I remember her running in the hallway screaming, playing. She was definitely still a baby. She didn't want to. She was looking at me crazy, everything. I got pictures of that.
So hold on, let me stop for a minute though. The OSU hospital in Columbus, Ohio, being that we're from Benton Harbor, Michigan, the OSU hospital, you can tell where big colleges, I want to say OSU is, if it's not a Ivy League, it is considered a high tier college.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
You can tell where they put a lot of their money at, and it's a lot of, they have this one hospital that's bigger than bigger than the hospitals in Benton Harbor where we're from. This one part of the hospital is all for cancer patients.
Cancer patients. Then they had a wing for heart patients.
They got a whole wing. Now, the wing for heart is not like that side of the building. No, it's like a whole nother building for heart. Like, it's just like a whole, and like, you see where the money being put into schools, and you see why, like, okay, when she, as you said, like, people travel all over the world to go to this school. Like, yeah, 'cause look at the money they put in here. Like, even when, I think we was talking to one of the doctors, and she was telling me, like, this is one of the top of the lines places for you to go for your thyroid at the time. I can't remember her name. She was really cool. She was really nice. She was kind of like laid back. She came in there with jeans on and all this stuff. Looked like she played basketball.
Yeah, she was real tall. I'm sure she's in my chart. But so that happened. I think I probably was in the hospital 4 or 5 days with that.
Right.
Because that was considered a major surgery.
Right.
once I went home with that, it started to heal. I don't think I had any more issues there in Columbus.
Well, let's go back then, because you said that was after you had Jiraiya.
Mm-hmm.
So what was the issue that you had Jiraiya?
Before? Or when I was pregnant with
When
her?
you was pregnant. Explain that for the people that don't know. Because we kind of explained that a little bit before, but this is all why you don't like being in the hospital.
Preeclampsia, high protein in the urine, which comes from high blood pressure, which caused the preeclampsia. I had hemorrhoids, whatever. I had it with her. That's how I knew she was the last one and wasn't no more coming. So after my doctor study tested my urine, I'm doing 24-hour urine, and the protein is not letting up. He was like, go to the hospital. You're being admitted, and you can't go home until you have the baby. Mind you, it was a month before I was due. Like, I went in the hospital November, like 3 days after Thanksgiving, and I didn't leave until Christmas Eve, and that's kind of because I'm not going to say forced them, but kind of forced them.
Kind of pushed the envelope.
Yeah, so I'm in that. I stayed a month
30
in the
days.
hospital. Bed rest. I couldn't get up to go use the bathroom.
Because of the beep, wouldn't it?
Yeah, the bed would go off. I would have to call them. I couldn't do anything but stay in the bed, because they was like, well, if we send you home, you can have a stroke and potentially die, because I had preeclampsia. So they were giving me the I was mean too. I know I was real mean to them. And I was threatening to leave, and they was like, well, if you leave, your insurance company is not going to pay. And I don't care. I don't pay medical bills. I pay medical insurance. That's all you're going to get from me. So I didn't leave, though. I stayed. And they were giving me steroid shots to try to develop her lungs. And they were trying to say, oh, when you have her, she's not going to go home with you. You're going to go home by yourself, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay. I know she coming home with me. She going to be okay. So after, really talking to my doctor, like, y'all need to do something. Well, the first attempt, they were going to do the C-section. And when they did the test or the ultrasound or whatever they were supposed to do, he was like, oh, her lungs is not developed. So they crushed me. They didn't do it that day. So I think maybe a week or so later, they continued to give me the steroid shots. And a week or so later, they did it. It was 4 days before Christmas, December 21st. We went in, we did the C-section. And he was like, oh, I'm so glad we did the C-section. You had a blood clot behind your uterus. Nobody knew or seen. So that could have traveled and just whatever. But she came out healthy. Nothing was wrong. No breathing. No breathing issues. No jaundice. Went home with me. We went home Christmas Eve. I was like, you want to go home? You need to get up and walk. Oh, you ain't saying nothing but a word. I done been here a whole month. The fuck? I'm finna walk right now. I didn't need pain meds after her. And this was a C-section. Like, I was ready to go. So we went home Christmas Eve. And I was there with the other kids for Christmas. That was that with that. When we moved here to Georgia, there was a lot.
Now that you're putting all this in perspective, you have been in and out of the hospital.
That's a lot. I think was that my first stay here with the blood clot? I really feel like it was something before that.
Yeah.
But I can't.
You explained the blood clot on the last season we had and how that was. But how many days you stayed in the hospital with that? About a week.
That was about 7 days.
About a week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because that was painful. That was the most pain. That was another incident where I probably walked around for 2 weeks with this blood clot in pain and just thought it was back, like my back was going out. But that was the worst pain I have ever felt before in my life to this day.
And your hand, I think the day before, the day of, your hands was shaking I think your hands were shaking and you were shaking all over and you was crying in pain over this blood clot. Now, if people don't know, blood clot travel all the way up to heart and bust, you could die, or to any artery, you can die. So that's what the blood clot situation. So now, fast forward to where we are today. You're in this hospital. Being that you're in this hospital, you don't know what's going on.
Right. So day go by. They're like, oh, well, we gave you fluids and it looks like your kidney numbers is getting better, but your hemoglobin is dropping. So we're going to give you a blood transfusion. Have you ever had one? No. So I immediately start crying because I never had one. So that's the first blood transfusion. So then they test the blood. The blood still wasn't where they needed. The doctor is ordering you to do a second blood transfusion.
Dos.
What? You giving me blood, it's coming out of me. Obviously, we need to figure something else out. So then here comes 3 and 4. I get 2 blood fusions in one day.
3, 4.
So I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm just like, what is the bleeding for? Nobody knows. They're like, everything shows nothing's wrong with your uterus. We don't see any fibroids, we don't know. So then the OBGYNs doctors start coming in and they send a male doctor, which male doctors should not be OBGYNs. You don't have a lady part. You don't understand certain things of a lady. Like, I need you to be able to relate. And that's just my opinion. So I didn't like him. He came in, he was in and out. So then the next 3 that came in, they were all women. They sat down, they explained things, what our options was, what we could try, blase. Me, I wanted a hysterectomy. I don't need no kids. Take this shit out.
You jumped over why you wanted a hysterectomy. So you jumping it a little bit. So let me explain. No, you got to explain.
Because I don't know why I'm bleeding. I don't ever want to bleed again.
Right. That's what your reason.
Yeah.
So let me explain it from how the doctors explain it. There's different procedures that you can do when there's menstrual bleeding, menstrual cycle, and so on and so forth. So one of the procedures is just removing the ovaries, correct?
No, removing the uterus and leaving the ovaries.
Removing the uterus and leaving the ovaries. Another procedure is the hysterectomy. It was only 2 choices. Now, the reason why you wanted the hysterectomy is because you had it up to here with everything that you've been going on. And what they explained is it ain't that easy. It's steps that you have to go through because that's a major procedure. Like, they have to do biopsies, they have to do this, they have to test for cancer, they have to do all this other stuff, because if they go ahead and just rush and take it out without doing the stuff they should have done before, you can still have major issues. So you wanted to jump all the way on us. You wanted to jump like, I want this. And they're like, no, it ain't that easy.
Yeah, because every time I got up to use the bathroom, literally blood is either gushing out, running down my leg.
I get it.
So by Thursday, by Wednesday, with them not knowing I'm on my 4th blood infusion, and the OBGYN like, look, we got to do something. We can't keep giving you blood. Obviously, it's keep coming out. They tried to give me this birth control or something.
Luprin.
No, that's the second one they tried to give me.
Oh, okay.
The first one was the first one I text you. They gave me. It's the pill form. And she's like, this is going to stop the bleeding. And,
yes, you did.
It's going to take, it's going to get worse before it gets better. In 24 hours, you should see a difference. And I'm just like, okay, I'm excited about this pill.
They gassed you up, huh?
I take the pill. It definitely got worse, but it never got better. It never stopped. So they came back the next day and they was like, did it stop? Did it slow up? And I said, no. I was like, okay, well, it's only two things we can give you because you had a blood clot. We can't give you the other ones.
Right.
So they was like, we're going to give you the Lupron depot. Well, they're supposed to have been a depot, but they didn't have it. So they had to go with the Lupron shot. So she was like, I know this is going to work. a lady had the same thing
Right.
you had, but she had an active blood clot, and we gave it to her, and her bleeding stopped. So I know this is gonna work.
The amazing thing is how they be trying to sell it to
Yeah.
you. Like, this is gonna work. We had a guy right down the street. We gave it to him in his ear, and right in his ear, it stopped all the blood in his brain.
She's like, it's gonna work. So I'm like, okay, give it to me. I don't care at this point. I don't even care. I was like, I'll read the side effects later. So they give me this shot in my butt. Nothing happens. Bleeding, continue to bleed out. It was so depressing. I'm like, this is just crazy. So they come back the next day, which was Wednesday.
Because first they tried to say it take like a day or two for it to kick in.
But then when they kept coming in, they were even calling me. The doctors was calling me on the hospital phone to check on me. Like, is it slowing down? Is it? I was like, nope. So then they came back Wednesday and they was like, okay. First they wanted to do an ablation, which was going in and burning the uterus, some of the uterus. And so I'm like, whatever's gonna stop the bleeding. I don't care. So then when the surgeon, the doctor surgeon comes in, which is the OBGYN, she comes in. They take me down to her when they all say, okay, we're gonna do this on Thursday. We're gonna schedule this. Don't eat anything. Blah blah blah.
Okay, the procedure. It's a different. The endometrial ablation.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So that's what in my head I thought they were gonna do, because that's what I was told they were gonna do Wednesday. But then Thursday morning comes and they come in. They're like, your blood count is still low.
Right.
You're still bleeding. So we're gonna take you over to the women's side, OBGYN side, to see the doctor and the surgeon that's gonna do this procedure on you. She wants to examine you. So I go over there and she examined me and she was like, oh my God, I just pulled the blood clot out of you and you're still bleeding. She was like, okay, so we're gonna prep you for surgery. I'm gonna go in and do is it a DNC, CND, culture dilation and DNC, whatever.
Same thing. I do paint
DNC, dilation and culturate or something. So I'm like, okay, well that's not what they said last night.
Right.
But I guess this is kind of the same procedure for the most part. They burn the walls of the uterus. So I go back to the room and they move so quick. Like somebody was down there. It's like, you ready for surgery? I'm like, I guess I am. Well, we got to give you 2 more liters of blood before you go into surgery. So that brings my total to 6 blood transfusions.
6.
Within
Tres.
5 days.
6, I mean.
4 or 5 days.
Oh, let me do it in Swahili. Hold up, I had it in Swahili. It was Moha Mbili Tatu Ne Tanyo Sita. We on Sita right now.
So that brings the total to 6 blood transfusions.
Sita.
Which is very, very retarded. Like, you shouldn't have to give anybody that much blood.
Well, it's not no one's fault.
But I'm just saying. So, okay, they take me down to prep me for surgery. Not to mention, I ended up with 4 different IVs because the ones in my arm kept busting. So they had to put one in this hand, and then when I went to surgery, I had one in this hand to put the blood in.
And they put them by your wrist, so it make it hard to bend. So if you bend by your wrist, that makes it hard. So it's like it'll pop out your skin.
Yeah, so very painful. Not even to mention all the tubes of blood and the sticks. Like I probably should have wore a short sleeve shirt, but I'm still bruised up. It looks like I shoot up in one arm.
You do.
Looks like I get beat up in the other arm.
Yeah, I hit you with a
so
cane.
That alone was very, very, very traumatic.
Like Turner.
So then they put the blood, because they had to give it to me and rush to give it to me, right? Because I'm going to surgery. So they put it in a compression bag. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? And the anesthesiologist, she was like, you feel that? Yeah.
Hey, no. You got to really explain it. So when the blood is in there and you had to get a blood transfusion, usually
it's slow drip.
It's a slow drip, like drip. When you was
they
getting
put
those,
it in this bag that's basically squeezing.
So wait, hold on, baby. So the blood drip that you get, it take like what, an hour,
About
2 hours sometimes. So
but
that
they were doing within.
This one was like a vacuum suction. They've rushed it right in your body.
Yeah.
Within seconds, right?
Yeah.
And that's like a high almost, right? Because they just rushing blood through your whole system.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh my God, Lord. So the second one they did, obviously, when I was asleep, thank God. So, okay, we do that. And the doctors is like, because they came with 1 liter and they was like, where's her other liter of blood at? Like, we need that right now. Stat, go find it. Talking to the nurses like that. That's back there in surgery. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And so they rush and go get the other liter of blood. And they come back and they take me back to surgery. So they were talking to me and he was like, I'm going to give you some happy medicine. Before I know it, I was out. Like, all I remember is climbing over on the table, scooting down to where they told me to scoot at. And I woke up in the recovery room. So after that, she woke me up. I wasn't in any pain. I didn't even have any pain meds. That's the thing. Like, with all this bleeding and things, no pain at all. Even after the procedure, no pain at all. And the bleeding was stopped. I was still spotting, probably spotting up until a couple days ago, and it kind of has stopped.
So they burned it?
Yeah, they like burned some of the uterus wall off. And also, I think they said they found polyps, so they took those out to be biopsy, and she took some uterus out. So I'll get those results this week.
So was that really 8 transfusions then?
No, 6.
7?
The 2 that I got a surgery made 6. I had 4 prior to surgery and 2 of surgery on surgery
You
day.
mean 2 at the same time?
Yeah,
Twice.
2.
Oh, okay.
That was my second day having them twice in a row though. So I'm thinking, because they said, oh, this is an outpatient,
right?
A couple days downtime. So I'm thinking, I'm going the fuck home after this. Thursday, I'm going to go home. No, did not go home. So I had to stay another day. Come Friday, as soon as the doctor come in, she's like, how you feeling? I'm good. The bleeding stopped. Can I go home? Well, we need to check your blood level. I'm like,
but you got to think about it, though. Now, I know you tired of being there, but just really take it into consideration. You cannot have a surgery, especially with your condition, and just walk right out the door. All right, let me go get something to eat. Like, you gotta take that into consideration.
They checked my blood levels, which were still low, but not low enough to say I needed another blood transfusion. And the OBGYN released me, like, I think you could go home, the blood stopped, just follow up with us in 2 weeks. We'll have the results by then. So they released me and the other doctors released me. And I guess the ER doctor really didn't have a choice after everybody else recommended for me to go home. A blood doctor did come in, which was an oncologist. He did come in the day after, because he was like, they got me down to surgery so quick. He wasn't able to see me that day. But he wants me to come see him because I am severely anemic, and everything that's going on could have a lot to do with the bleeding and my iron being low. So he wants me to come to his office after a couple weeks, which is this week, so he can run his own test and check my blood levels to see where my normal blood levels are at, to decide if he would need to do a iron infusion or give me shots.
So fast forward, where we are at today, you're still going back and forth to the doctor. So what do you think is the cause of all this stuff? What do you think?
I have no clue.
Do you think this is...
Now that he mentioned the iron, then I'm like, yes. Because I was to the point where I couldn't even keep my eyes open and I could just wake up. But at the same time, when my hormone levels are off on the pill too, that does it. So
Meaning your thyroid.
yeah.
So you don't know.
And when I went to the doctor today, she said my thyroid levels was high. So now she wants
thyroid
me.
stuff ain't nothing to play with. It's
Yeah.
weird.
So now she wants me to kind of, for 6 days, take a whole pill. That's 7 days, take a half a pill. To see. She was like, I don't want to test it because you just had it done a couple weeks ago. Nothing's going to change right now. I'm going to give it a couple weeks and then, we'll do some blood work. So that, I don't know, like when your thyroid is out of whack and
Everything out of whack.
yeah, like that could cause the kidney, and he said the anemic and the bleeding could cause the kidney to be out of whack, which this isn't my first time having a kidney issue, but this probably can explain a lot. Like I do have to do a 24-hour urine for my kidney starting tomorrow for my kidney doctor, and I have to go get some blood work. What's today?
Well, this is the thing, though.
Yeah. Yeah, I gotta do that.
This is the thing, though.
So it could be anything. Like I can't really say what it is. I didn't know that being anemic or low blood would make you bleed like that. I mean, I don't know.
Well, the two combined, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, moving forward now we're in today's time. Now you're dealing with it. Now you're out of the hospital. You are feeling a whole lot better, right?
Yes. The Friday I came home, I didn't feel too good. I think it was just all of the blood transfusions kind of catching up to me. Because when they gave me the blood, I was okay. They were like, "Are you tired or anything?" I was like, "No."
You wasn't moving around either. So when you came home, you was
But then when I got home that Friday, I kind of was very exhausted. Saturday, I was extremely exhausted. And then Sunday, I woke up and I was like, oh, I'm better. But then still to this day, if I try to do a lot, like pick up, clean up, I get really, really tired.
And you have
I
a rare
get dizzy.
blood type.
Yeah. What if people try to kill me?
Whatever. It ain't like it's a vampire that's gonna come out and get you and suck all your blood. But being that you have a rare blood type, it also makes it rare. I guess the issues are rare too when you go to reading about the blood types.
Yeah. So, I have my follow-up appointments and get results back. I'm really not. I want to know it. I hope they have answers for me, in the lack of better words. I don't want to go there and they still don't know, because then I'm going to be, I don't know. I'm going to be kind of
Don't hang it over your head. Don't overthink it.
I'm just kind of questioning doctors.
I like
if
this
they
shirt
don't
too.
know.
This shirt showing my muscles a little bit. And then why did you do that? Look, the other day, y'all. Let me explain this, y'all. The other day, I was like, you don't see my body, like you don't see like my arms and shoulders. It's like show a little bit. I can show a little bit of my arms coming in a little bit. The shirt look like a John Cena shirt a little bit. But anyway, I was like, you can't see it. What you say? You look alright. I see a little something. I'm like, okay, alright, okay. Keep not giving me no compliments, shouty. Like you don't see the back. Like even my back is coming in, and she ain't giving me no compliments. But when we went out the other night, boy, you made sure you threw on something like, I'm out the hospital. Look out, y'all. Here I come, world. You was like,
it took a lot to get to that point too.
Yeah.
I was beat by the end of the night.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't any. Well, it was a couple restrictions for 2 weeks until I get cleared by them. But
let's just say this though. So this is what I want you to reflect on though, and it goes for people that's listening. Something to think about. I don't want you to just think about the stuff you went through and it was a headache and all that stuff. I want you to think about where you are at, to be thankful where you at, because it could be worse. Like all the stuff, you listed all the times you've been in the hospital. You listed all the times you went through those tumultuous times and the body pain. Believe it or not, every time you was in the hospital, you had all of your family with you. And this may sound weird for some people that may not understand, but for me, while you was in the hospital, I was not scared. I was not nervous because you was up walking around. You was talking. You wasn't in any pain. It wasn't weird or anything. And then with all the other stuff you've been through before, I knew you was gonna come home. I knew you was gonna be alright. It was a little rough.
Yeah, I don't
the
know
not
about
knowing.
the second time not knowing and all that. Just seeing, I guess it's one thing to actually see the blood.
But it's another thing to experience it.
Yeah, like yeah.
Because you was getting the blood transfusion. I think what the weird part was, for you maybe, the blood transfusion. Like it's one thing, the blood's coming out, but to see like, okay, now I need blood once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6, all these times, 7, and all these times, and then the last 2 times was double doses of the blood that you was needing. So that's the experience that I think that's freaked you out. But I also want to, say like, being that everybody's behind you. That's one of the things, the good thing when you have people fighting for you, praying for you. Like we have so many people praying for you, making sure you was all right.
I received some nice balloons,
all
flowers,
the people, everybody was sending you nice stuffs and gifts and everything. So everybody had your back in your corner. So that's the good thing. And another thing is, if that ain't no eye-opening situation for you to do whatever you want to do, anything you holding back on, that's the opportunity. Like if you scared of not pursuing your dreams, if you scared of not doing what you do, living your life, going through something like that, like that's an opportunity to wake you up. Like you shouldn't be afraid of nothing. Like what and not just using you, just saying anybody in particular. Like think about it in general. Like what are you really, really, really afraid of? Like it's people that, like when we talk about, where we're from, Ben Harbor, and I compare it to hospitals, it's people that are scared to leave Ben Harbor because that's what they know. They don't know nothing else. So I'm just saying that as an example. It's people scared to go to college. It's people scared to go, pursue their dream, and scared other people gonna talk about them. Scared all this other stuff. So when you go through something like that, like you have nothing else to be afraid of. Nothing. You got nothing else to be afraid of. Everything you was holding back, go on, let it out. Anything that you need to tell somebody, go on, tell them. You been in the hospital this long, you might as well go on, tell them. I mean, because on the opposite end, what else do you have to lose? Like what else do you have to lose? You was going through a tumultuous time in the hospital. So let's just take people that's going through the COVID situation, and they came out of it. You came out of the COVID situation. You should be living your life. And it doesn't mean spending money or going on trips, trying to, live it up while, or what they call it, living high on the hog. It doesn't mean that. It means not having no regrets. Like, don't have no regrets for somebody else's sake. Don't try to make nobody else feel good and you feeling bad. Don't try to hold your emotions just because you don't want to let nobody else feel how you feel. And that doesn't mean you should tell them. But that just means, like, this is a first step for you and anyone else that has been through anything to start living life stress-free. If all that was stressful, you can be stress-free now because of what you done been through. Like, this... I say this before. I said this before to one of my cousins, my friends, that sometimes we don't see who we are and what we can be. You know what I'm saying? Like, so if God knows, if you can see what God sees, you will understand why He putting you through it. Like, if you see yourself, like, what's the movie, Captain America? Remember before he got all them shots and all that thing. He was like a little scrawny dude. He was real skinny. Probably looked like he weighed like 75 pounds. He looked like he really didn't make it in the army and everything. But after all that, he had muscles, was strong, everything, could take hits, all that stuff. So if God sees you as Captain America and you steady seeing yourself as a little person before he became Captain America, you not seeing how the greatness in you are the things that you can accomplish. And you letting all the other stuff, the people, the naysayers and everything is holding you back. So, I'm going to end on that one. Drop that little knowledge on them, shouting. So, we gone in this episode like that. Everybody, we got good reviews for the past episodes we did, so look forward to the next one. Anybody got any questions?
Circles, I'm gone.
Oh, okay.
Tired.
Oh, okay. Anybody got any questions? They can email us at
The Dyson's Effect at hotmail.com.
good, and they can reach you at. Oh, you can say you cheated a little bit. Okay, they can reach you at
Instagram. I am his Mrs. Dyson.
You sure is what you fine ass. And you can meet me at Your Benevolent Coach on Instagram and Facebook, and on Twitter, Benevolent Coach. We're working on some big things coming up soon. Stay in contact with us. Email us. We got a few topics that we're holding back on. So, this is Johnny.
And this is Theresa.
And this is another episode of The
Dyson's Effect.
Peace, love, and blessings.
Peace.